Now, what people refer to as this great void state, I have two speculations about it. One is, if it is a completely non-excited state of consciousness, which is coherent to infer that it could happen, then there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to remember. And then how do they know that they've been there? You see? Because there's nothing. What is there to talk about? How do they know? All they know is they don't remember. Does that mean that they were there, or just that they don't remember? There are other sages and students of spirituality who I have seen or read that report that you can experience the void and you can remember that. And I had a psychedelic trip once, a very high dose psychedelic trip, in which during the trip I thought, this is what the Buddhists mean by the void. It's that there's nothing here except the knowing of being there, which is an experience. And it's an experience you can't talk about. Now, if that's what the void is, then I would say the void is a carrier wave. I keep using this communications metaphors because, I also have a degree in electronics engineering. A carrier wave is a fundamental tone. When you are driving your car and you select a radio station, you're tuning to a particular frequency, to a particular carrier wave, which is excited. It is a vibration of the electromagnetic field with a certain frequency. And the radio program is modulated on top of it. It's a further excitation of that carrier wave. Now, if you think our ordinary experiences are like the radio program, a modulation of a carrier wave, when the program stops and nobody's saying anything, then all you have is the carrier wave. It's a fundamental tone. In Indian philosophy, they call it the drone. Even in Indian classical music, they call it the drone. There is always this background note, a constant background note, which is the drone, and the music is a modulation that comes on top of the drone. So it is coherent to imagine that it is impossible for a field of subjectivity to be completely unexcited, completely at rest. There is always a carrier wave. There is always a fundamental tone. And if people have been to the void and they remember it and they can talk about it, then what they experienced was the tone. Because there has to be something happening for them to remember something. And today I tend to think that the latter option is the more coherent one. I think mind is never completely at rest. There is always a fundamental tone, that core subjectivity. There is always a drone, which is what people refer to as the void, and that's why they remember it.